So, Elin, I will start with you because it's interesting how this band works. That you all met in Ohio, Iowa. How did you end up in Iowa?
No, we met in California.
Oh, okay.
Me and Zack became friends on Facebook, and then I lost my job. Like, people in Sweden tend to go to, after they graduate, they tend to go to Asia and travel around. But I went to the States, and that's when I met Zack, and then I met Corey.
And then for the both of you, at this point, I don't know how long ago this was, but what role did music play in your life at that point? Zack, I know you've been playing for a long time, and Elin, you as well, but I don't know what kind of the composition was at that time.
No, I had a band in Sweden in my hometown. So I've always played in different bands and different kind of genre, different stuff. So and Zack was playing in a band, Radio Moscow, at the time. I mean, it was music's always been, it's my greatest love. Yeah.
When did you know that music was your kind of direction?
I mean, I think I knew since I was a kid, like when I started to sing, how it made me feel.
Okay.
Like a holy thing. But I didn't think I was gonna, be a full-time musician and survive on my music and do all this stuff that we've, been doing, playing all these awesome festivals and shows and seeing legends and bands and, meeting all different people and going places. I've been in the UK in places I, didn't even know existed. So it's like, I didn't expect it to become like this.
Okay. And how about you, Zack? Because did you ever envision a life in music early on?
I mean, I guess I started playing around 14 or 15.
Okay.
I watched School of Rock, and then I learned how to play Seven Nation Army on the guitar. And then there was pretty much no turning back from there. And then when I was 17, I joined Radio Moscow, and that was my first experience in a touring band. And so I was doing that for some years up until when me and Elin met and made Blues Pills. So I was pretty much touring all the time.
Sure.
For those years before we started Blues Pills.
And you say you first met online. So what were your first impressions of each other when you kind of came face to face?
It's like, this is a hairy guy.
I think that we I remember we started to talk, and then also she sent me I band, so I had heard her sing already, so that wasn't a total surprise or anything, because I think we already from the first moment knew we had similar music tastes and stuff. So then when we met and started to write songs together, it was pretty much instant that it was effortless to write music together, because I think the first songs we ever wrote are those songs that are on the first album, like Little Sun and Devilman and Black Smoke and everything. So it was the first songs we ever wrote are some of the songs we're known for. It's not like there was a long process of building up to that, Yeah.
If you look at where you are now, then, because now you're on album 3, well, what makes, if you look back at kind of what you've done over the years, what makes this connection work and kind of this band work, where obviously, like you say, you've been in other bands? What makes this work?
I mean, for me, I think it's just a good compliment. We complement each other really well, because I'm more maybe good with, of course, maybe the instruments and arranging and stuff like that, but I can't sing at all. And Elin is really good at making melodies and singing, obviously. So when you combine more of an instrumentalist with a really good singer, then it's just the perfect combination that makes it really easy to write songs together.
And now for this album then, in particular, because am I right in saying that you did everything in kind of, you produced it yourselves, it was kind of your own little thing in a sense, right? So was that in terms of the writing process as well? Did you just lock yourselves up for a while and these songs came out?
So, do you want to? Okay.
Oh, you can both.
I'm waiting, like.
No. I'll just do a little disclaimer. My questions tend to be a bit vague at times, so just answer if you feel. Yeah. Don't wait for me to do anything. Just talk.
No, but I think we usually, like, we have ideas. Like, me and Zack usually have song ideas, and then we bring it to the table, and then we work on them, and then who turns out good, we keep. Like, that's.
I think in the case with this album, like Andrea, it was basically me, Elin, and Andrea, just us three in the studio, because Christopher, the new bass player, he kind of joined after we had already made the album. So he's not playing on the album, on this album yet, but it was pretty much like, we often have like ideas on our phones, on like voice memos that we record just when we have an idea. And then we usually finish it together.
Yeah.
And well, the reason why I asked, because I wrote down Lindbacka Sounds, which is your own studio, I think. So how did that affect writing this album compared to the other two?
Freedom, I think, because I mean, it was only me, Zack, and Andre in the studio. So it felt like writing music how we did before we got signed. It was like a complete freedom, but also we just wanted to take the control back of the band and do it ourselves and see how if we could. And obviously, I'm super proud of this album. So I think we all did a great job, and especially Zack, because he's also, he's the recording engineer as well. So he spent days and nights in the studio. Yeah. And then
the Zack, because you mentioned it already just now, but Dorian left and you had to go play guitar. So, and obviously you've played guitar before, so that's not the issue. But was it for you? Was there an adjustment period to kind of pick up the guitar again and that be your main thing?
Yeah, I mean, definitely, because bass had been my main instrument for like over 10 years. Sure. So, but I guess when I look at the songwriting process, it didn't really change much, because when I wrote songs before, even when I was the bass player in the band, I was still writing songs on the guitar. But of course, the main thing was that, like, the whole reason, of course, that we asked Dorian to join the band was because he was really good at lead guitar. So then that was like the main adjustment, of course, was that I needed to like start to focus and practice solos more. So in a way, I kind of like learned to solo in the process of making this album to get to the point where I'm like at now, because before that I was just more focused on like writing a song. And then when we needed a solo, it was just kind of like, take it away, Dorian.
Take it away. But I'm so proud of it, because like I think you also just needed the confidence, and you're, Zack is one of the persons, that's like, you get so inspired by him because he has this drive, which is, it's so cool.
Elin, can you name me one song, and obviously they're all in some way, but one song on the album where you were impressed by Zack's guitar work, where you think, that was really cool?
Oh, I mean, on all of them, but song from Morning Dove and Dust. I think the song Dust has like one of the best solos.
Okay. So let's take that song then, Zack. What was your, like you say, you had to kind of learn to play solo. So what was your approach with that particular song, with Dust?
I think like Dust, I didn't want to, like, when we like made that song, I didn't want it to sound really like even like a rock song almost. Like, to me, it was more almost like Western. And I just get like sort of a Quentin Tarantino vibe from it.
Right.
So I think that was kind of my approach. But at the same time, you know, like there's such a rock influence in our music that it's always going to be there. So you can't get away from it completely. But I think when I was like writing that, the guitar, it was really inspired by like Western and almost country music. So that's why there's like a lot of tremolo and like whammy bar and stuff.
Right.
That's so good.
and well, I don't know if you have had the chance to play any of these songs live yet.
Yeah, we practiced them, and we did like some in some live streams, but not like truly live, unfortunately.
But they sound way better in the studio. I mean, when we practice.
Sure.
Yeah.
Like the song sounds awesome when we're live.
Because I can imagine, I might be wrong in this, but do you see yourself as a live band as well? Because with the type of music that you make, which is type of music I enjoy myself, but I always find that the live performances are much better than I prefer the live performances in a way. Is that the same for you? Do you see yourselves as a live band in a way?
Yeah, definitely. And I think especially on this album, it's like obvious to us immediately that the songs work really much better live, I think, than compared to the last album, which is just because on the last album, I think it was a lot more overdubs with backing vocals and more keyboards and stuff like that. And now it's just more pretty much guitar, bass, and drums through the whole album. So it's just a bit more stripped down and like raw arrangements, I think.
And then you just now mentioned, well, obviously there's a rock influences, but there were some slower. So I want to get into the fastest song first, which is Low Road. How does a song like that kind of come together then? Is that just by jamming?
I think we said like let's do this song and like a fuck you to everyone. And then you had this like super cool riff, and then we were just like, let's do it.
The thing was, I remember that I had like a completely different riff for like years. And Elin was always like saying we should make a song out of it. And but then when we tried to make like a few different versions with that riff, and then every time, like after listening to it for a while, we're like, this song is so goddamn boring. Yeah. So then like finally we rewrote the song with a completely different riff and just like made it as intense as we could, basically.
And Elin, what does that require from you as a singer? Because there's some songs where you have more time and space to kind of do things, and now you kind of have to go for it. What is that like for you as a singer?
I mean, it's cool. That's like one of my favorite songs, Low Road. I mean, it's a lot of words and more, you know, it's more, what do I say, chest vocals. But it's fun, and it's like one of the most fun songs to play in the rehearsal room as well. But yeah, I like it because I am, you know, I always want to develop, and I like my instrument. So it's, for me, it is important to have those like kind of hard songs, like faster ones, and combined with these like where I can just sing my heart out. But I think it's a good mixture. And
in particular, well, not more in general in a way, where do the lyrics start? Is that something that you take upon yourself, or is that something you discuss as a band?
No, it's like, usually I sometimes it happens throughout when I do my melodies, and then you can sort of hear, you know, maybe sometimes I even have written a lyric example like Dust. That I wrote on the tour bus is the lyrics, and I had the melody. So that song is very built on the melody that I wrote, like, you know, years ago. But then at some points it's also just, you know, I try to focus on the melody, and then it's almost like I do write words, but then you finally find, you know, then you go through and then you try to finish the song, or like, you know, feel what is it that you want to say with the song, and then you start changing, because then you hear how many phrases and words you need, you know. But Zack is also, Zack is American, so it's his first language, so he also helps write lyrics. Sure. So it's also me and Zack who's doing that together. But I think that, that's what I love with working with Zack, is that if some of us have a song idea, we can finish up our songs. Like I could finish writing his song, he could finish writing my song, and the same. It's a cool collaboration.
Well, the reason why I ask, because I think this is in the bio, so I'm never sure if this how accurate this is, but this might be the most autobiographical or perhaps personal album you've made so far. So do you agree with that idea?
Yeah.
I think it's just the fact that we had so much more time to write the songs. So these songs were more like songs that just kind of came to us, that you actually like write in the moment when you like felt something. Versus like Lady in Gold, for example, it was so written in the studio that we basically didn't have any lyrics. And then you just are like, well, just write something because we need lyrics.
What afforded you this time, in a way? Well, was it something you as a band decided, well, we're going to take our time with this? Or was there something else that kind of just gave you a bit more breathing room?
I think it was me, Zack, and like we had the focus. So, because I do think, obviously sometimes it's good with people helping and, being around, but it was just us, and we could, try all different things, and, the freedom of not, have to pay by the clock a studio or a person. So it was very relaxing.
I think like on Lady in Gold, there was quite a bit of pressure from the label as well, that they wanted us to kind of like make an album pretty fast after the first album to keep like momentum going. And this time that wasn't there either. So it was just kind of like, when we're done, we're done.
Is that then difficult to decide when you're done? Because especially for you, since you took on the production as well?
Yeah, I'm known as being the annoying guy in the band that wants to redo things constantly. So it's a bit harsh.
This is going to sound vague, but in essence, when you're working on an album like this, what are you looking for? When do you kind of feel like, okay, now we've got it, or now we've... I don't know.
For me, it's like, I guess... at least with this album, what I was sort of like aiming for a lot of the times, I feel like, was that the song, it should feel like it has this energy of almost feeling like live. Because I always felt like that maybe our studio albums didn't really capture the same energy as like a live recording. And I think we at least came closer to that with this album.
Right. Now, there's a couple of more songs I'd like to get into a little bit closer. Let's go for Bye Birdie, which is probably my favorite on the record. So where did that song start? Where did that originate?
We got this when we finished the studio. We got a present from this guy at the music shop in Örebro.
I think I have it here.
Yeah, he brought us this dead bird as a gift, saying like, "Good work, you guys! You get this dead bird." And I'm a vegetarian, and then we started to talk about, because he was like with us, this bird, during the recordings of the album, and we were just like, was so sad, just thinking like, he could be out with the other birds and fly around.
This is what the song is about.
Awesome.
So then we wrote this song. We were like getting pictures, like, we take him out to the other birds, and maybe they start to talk and he can fly away and so on. So then we wrote the lyrics about that guy. Well,
one thing is that what I like is about that song in particular is kind of the breakdown, and where the instrumentals pull up and then kind of works its way back to your voice again. But there's some Swedish, I'm guessing Swedish, talking over it.
Oh yeah, at the end.
Yeah, and obviously I don't speak Swedish, so since you've just told me what the song is about, is it worth mentioning what you're saying, or?
It's actually not me. It's Zack's girlfriend, who's she's reading a poem at the end.
Okay.
I don't actually remember what she said, but she was like at the studio one day, and I was like, just go and talk into the microphone and just say something, and then that's.
But wasn't it a poem she wrote?
Yeah, I think it's one of her poems she wrote.
Yeah,
it's
about death and stuff. So I think she said that, but maybe I'm wrong. But then you turn. I mean, we have it backwards.
Mm.
Yeah.
But there's a lot of weird things happening there at the end.
I think wasn't Tom like singing this like Olsen? What are they called? Like the Olsen brothers, fly on the wings of love, fly, baby, fly. It's like bunch of stuff going on.
Well, in that sense, then, let's pick another song then, since that is I like the story, but there's well, let's talk about Proud Woman then, because I suppose that's an important song for you, especially Elin. So when did you kind of feel like one of the songs, like you say, it's subconscious, maybe some lyrics come in. When did you feel like a song was heading in that direction, or when you felt, okay, I can talk about this?
I mean, I think because that song we wrote together, like me, Zack, and Andre were jamming, and then those words just kind of popped up, you know. And what I felt is that, you know, we need songs like this in rock and roll and in metal, because we always try to strive to be original and try to write about stuff that haven't been written before when you're a musician and songwriter. And for me, this is like, so, you know, it's so clear. It's such a, you know, strong message. And just, we all, I mean, the whole band, we are feminists. We want to strive for equality. And also for me, it was important to write this song to women and my family, my stepdaughter, myself as a young kid, like people that needs to get uplifted by this song. And it's a shame it haven't been written before.
Well, that's a very important thing you mentioned. It's a sense of I don't know the right word. It's escaping me, but the sense of representation, I suppose, in a way that you feel like you're represented by people in media and the arts and everything. When you were growing up, did you have that sense?
Yeah, I mean, do you mean feminist or?
Well, no. I mean, because I've heard from a lot of artists that when they grew up, they didn't really have an artist they could look at and say, "Well, I can see myself in that artist." And
yeah, no, I mean,
especially in this rock world.
Yeah, there is less. I mean, there still is less of us. So yeah, but I mean, I was looking up to soul vocalists like Aretha Franklin. So I anyway had, but I mean, for me, when I was 15, when I started music school, you sort of met a lot of friends that were into rock and metal. And then you discovered a different kind of music. And I definitely felt like I was looking up to Ozzy Osbourne. So, but yeah, there is. I think it's it's a very important message,
sure.
And I just hope the right people get to hear it.
Because one thing which is, I suppose, optimistic in a way is I do hear from rock bands and that they see a lot of women in their audience and young girls picking up the guitar. So is that something you see as well?
Yeah, I mean, there have been a change, definitely. But I still feel, as a female in this scene or business, you have way more pressure. You get, judged and scrutinized. They look on everything you do, like until what you wear, until what you say, and on everything. So I think I always had the feeling that I always have to prove myself that, I belong here. I'm as much rock and roll as you are, and I think that's maybe scary for people because I just want to be me. I don't want to be a vision of a guy from the industry, like seeing how I should be. I just want to be me playing rock and roll music and be judged by, you know, my music and my musicality, not anything else, that I have a vagina.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. Fair point.
Yeah.
You meant there's something in there as well, which I find interesting, which is kind of the idea of what rock and roll or metal means these days. And obviously, you're with Nuclear Blast, but it's not necessarily metal anyway. But what are your ideas of what rock music is these days?
For me, it's about not giving a fuck and being true. And also, I don't know, like, Zack, what do you think?
I mean, I don't know what it means or anything, but I guess what I'm looking for in rock music is like when there's some attitude in the music, because it feels like that's something that have been missing in a lot of more modern rock music. I feel like maybe it's has to do with the way everything is recorded and kind of like perfected in the computer and stuff, but
yeah,
you just miss a bit of this raw energy that used to be there in the early rock and roll.
And now, finally then, when did the title of Holy Moly pop into your mind?
I mean, we had like just written down like a million different possible titles, and we had the artwork already and the songs already. So it was sort of like we just needed something to tie the artwork with the music. And for some reason, that one kind of just stuck like in our heads. I don't know why, but it sort of felt like it I kind of liked that it had like holy in it, which sort of felt like connected to this religious vibe of the cover. But at the same time, when it's like Holy Moly, it doesn't feel so serious because we aren't trying to take ourselves too seriously either.
You mentioned that from the get-go, the kind of the collaborations between the band went really well. But was this then a really, it's going to sound weird, really easy album to make in a way? Because like you say, it kind of went natural. It was, you had a bit more time to take.
In some way, yes, but in some way, no, because I guess, I mean, like, for example, like one thing about this album is some of the songs were rearranged so many times. So I think when you have that much time, you can go a bit overboard with like trying different arrangements and trying different things.
Right.
But with that said, like the actual recordings that ended up on the album usually went really fast. Like we didn't spend a ton of time. Once we had an arrangement we liked, it wasn't a ton of time spent recording it. But on the other hand, maybe we spent a whole month rearranging a song multiple different times. So it was more like the writing process definitely took a lot of time. But then when we went to record it, our goal was to just do it quite fast and just with energy and be done.
Well, final question then. What did this whole process make you realize or about your own musicality and your own creativity in that sense then?
I think it just was mostly like a confidence booster for the future, that like whether we work with producers or not, that we gained a lot of confidence in just doing things more on our own and making decisions, because the first two albums were both done with a producer who's an amazing producer, Don Alsterberg. And I would love to work with him again. But the only thing why I think it was necessary to do on our own this time is because since we were quite a young band and did both those albums with a producer, you still sort of haven't gained this confidence in yourself yet, that you feel like you need someone there to like tell you when you're making a mistake or something.
So I was going to say it's also a sense of self-reliance that you don't need to depend on anybody else in a way.
Yeah, exactly. So then you're sort of, then you are forced to make all those decisions yourself. So I think it was a good learning experience, and I think it will be for the better in the future, even if we go on to work with a producer. it's better to like have that experience and combine it with maybe, you know, then working with a producer who can also come with good ideas, but then there's just more good ideas going around, you know.
Right, like you want to continue to progress and get better and better in a sense. All right,
Exactly.
Zack, thank you very much for your time. Thank Elin for for her time as well. She had to cut out.
Yeah.
So, but thanks again, and yeah, we'll see what happens when the album is released.
Yeah, thanks for having us.
All right, no worries.